The rhythmic click-clack of keys on Alex Vance's well-worn keyboard was often the only sound breaking the pre-dawn silence in his cluttered bedroom. At 28, Alex was a software prodigy, a quiet, intensely brilliant mind often obscured by a perpetual hoodie and worn jeans. To the world, he was a high school dropout, a perceived failure who had vanished from the academic scene years ago under a cloud of controversy. He'd been falsely accused of hacking the school system by jealous peers, a lie that had ended his formal education and left him with a quiet burden of past injustice and profound social isolation. Yet, in the obscurity of his makeshift home office, fueled by cheap energy drinks and an unwavering belief in the power of code, he spent years diligently working, driven by a profound need to prove his worth through innovation. His workspace was a testament to his single-minded dedication, a desk overflowing with circuit boards, tangled wires, and the ever-present glow of multiple monitors. His days blended into nights, each hour a meticulous dance of complex algorithms, patient debugging, and the solitary pursuit of perfect, elegant code. He found a strange solace in tinkering with old, discarded electronics, breathing new life into forgotten gadgets, finding new, unexpected uses for them that defied conventional thinking. Despite his own precarious financial situation, Alex possessed an innate generosity, a quiet commitment to social good that few ever witnessed. One evening, he learned that the online registration system for a local community center, a vital hub providing after-school programs for disadvantaged youth, had crashed. The glitch was critical, threatening to prevent hundreds of kids from accessing vital services. Without hesitation, and without drawing any attention to himself, Alex discreetly volunteered his coding skills. He worked tirelessly through the night, a silent guardian behind the scenes, fixing the critical bug that had plagued the system for months. He uploaded the patch anonymously, refusing any credit or reward. Hundreds of kids gained access to crucial programs, their futures subtly brightened by his unseen kindness, a quiet demonstration of his commitment to giving back, even when he himself was struggling. Alex's genius often revealed itself in subtle, almost prescient ways. He possessed an uncanny, intuitive understanding of complex systems and network architecture, a talent that seemed to border on the supernatural. He could predict a system's vulnerability before it manifested, see the hidden pathways of data, a skill that sometimes felt like a burden. Around his neck, hidden beneath his hoodie, he wore a small, tarnished silver locket, a gift from his late grandmother. Inside, folded meticulously, was a faded blueprint of an unusual circuit board, its lines intricate and unfamiliar. He sometimes muttered cryptic phrases in his sleep. Unseen backdoors, ghost protocols, words that were fragments of complex algorithms that danced in his subconscious. His personal computer, a Frankenstein monster of salvaged parts, ran on a unique, archaic operating system he had designed himself, a detail only a true expert in the field would recognize, a silent testament to his profound, unacknowledged genius. The sting of the past. The quiet brilliance of Alex's secluded world was brutally interrupted by a crisis that struck at the very core of his being. His younger sister, Lily. Just 10 years old, Lily was diagnosed with a rare, aggressive form of childhood cancer. The news hit Alex like a physical blow, stripping away his focus on code and replacing it with a suffocating terror. The experimental treatment, her only hope, was astronomically expensive, a sum that dwarfed his meager savings and the sporadic income from his underground coding projects. Despite his genius, Alex had lived a frugal, almost invisible life, precisely to avoid drawing attention. Now, he faced an impossible financial burden, a stark reminder of his precarious existence. His financial desperation was compounded by a chilling echo from his past. The city announced the upcoming 10-year high school reunion for Northwood High, a place that held only bitter memories for Alex. He initially ignored the invitation, wanting nothing to do with the superficial world that had cast him out. But then, an email arrived from Mark Thorne, his former high school bully, a prominent organizer of the reunion. The message was laced with thinly veiled contempt, taunting Alex about his failure to launch and his mediocre life, subtly daring him to show up and face his past. Mark Thorne, now the arrogant, overly polished CEO of Zenith Solutions, a moderately successful tech company, was the very architect of Alex's high school downfall. Driven by a corrosive jealousy and a profound insecurity over Alex's raw, unacknowledged talent, Mark had meticulously framed Alex for hacking the school system years ago, effectively ending his academic career. Mark was obsessed with superficial success and public validation, secretly harboring a deep, festering fear of being exposed as intellectually inferior. He delighted in putting others down, especially Alex, whose quiet brilliance he had always resented. The invitation to the reunion, once a trivial piece of junk mail, transformed into a direct challenge, a painful reminder of the injustice he had suffered. Mark clearly planned to use the reunion as a stage to flaunt his superficial success and publicly humiliate Alex, solidifying his own fabricated narrative of superiority. The mounting medical bills for Lily, a crushing weight that threatened to extinguish her fragile life, combined with Mark's cruel taunts, pushed Alex to a breaking point. He realized with stark clarity that he needed a massive influx of capital, an almost impossible sum, and quickly. The reunion, despite its potential for humiliation, offered a bizarre, desperate chance to subtly gain attention for his work, to find a way to secure the funds for Lily. He knew it was a gamble, forcing him to confront the very past he had tried so hard to escape. With a heavy heart and a renewed sense of purpose, Alex decided to attend. He spent days meticulously updating his personal website, adding subtle, cryptic hints about a ghost protocol, a theoretical framework for a universal operating system he had quietly developed years ago, a concept far beyond Zenith Solutions' capabilities. He posted an obscure, intricate coding puzzle, a digital breadcrumb trail meant only for the truly discerning eye. He hoped, against all odds, that someone, anyone, would see past the Dropout label and recognize the genius hidden beneath. This was his last desperate hope for Lily, a profound leap of faith into the very world that had once discarded him. This was the point of no return. The echoes in the ballroom. The grand ballroom of the Omni Hotel, a cavernous space usually reserved for corporate conventions, shimmered under the dazzling lights, transformed for the Northwood High School 10-year reunion. The air was thick with the scent of expensive perfume, stale ambition, and thinly veiled judgments. Former classmates, many of whom now boasted successful careers and tailored suits, mingled with an almost desperate gaiety, their laughter punctuated by the clinking of champagne flutes. Mark Thorne, the self-proclaimed star of the evening, held court near the open bar, surrounded by a sycophantic gaggle of former bullies and envious admirers. His face, meticulously groomed and radiating an artificial glow, constantly scanned the room for fresh validation. Then, Alex arrived. He stood just inside the entrance, a quiet anomaly in his signature-worn hoodie and faded jeans, a stark contrast to the gleaming attire of his former peers. He clutched a small, nondescript bag containing his few essentials, and perhaps a hidden hope. Immediately, whispers rippled through the crowd. Eyes narrowed, then widened in recognition, quickly followed by snide remarks and mocking snickers. "Look, it's Alex Vance, the dropout." "Still wearing that hoodie, I see. Guess some things never change." Failure to launch, indeed. The judgments, whispered loud enough to be heard, were a painful echo of his past, making the vast ballroom feel suffocatingly small. Mark, ever the opportunist, spotted Alex. A triumphant gleam entered his eyes. He broke away from his entourage, a predatory smile spreading across his face, and made a theatrical show of approaching Alex. He clasped Alex on the shoulder with a false camaraderie, his voice booming across the immediate vicinity. "Alex Vance, my dear old friend, so glad you could make it. We were just talking about you." His voice then dropped to a patronizing whisper, loud enough for his friends and nearby classmates to hear. "Still tinkering in your parents' garage, are we? Or have you finally found a real job? You know, something with, actual paychecks?" He loudly mocked Alex's appearance, his lack of a real career, and his past as a high school failure. He then, with a flourish, produced a crisp $100 bill. "Here," Mark said, pressing it into Alex's hand, his smile oozing condescension. "A little reunion charity donation for your struggling life. Don't say I never looked out for my old classmates. I know you could use it. After all, not everyone can achieve the heights of Zenith Solutions, can they? We're talking technology you could never comprehend, Alex, far beyond your limited capabilities." Alex's face remained impassive, but his jaw tightened. The insult stung, but beneath the familiar sting, a cold, analytical precision ignited. As Mark delivered his condescending monologue, his phone, clutched in his hand and displaying Zenith Solutions' proprietary software, a common operating system used in the industry but with Zenith's branding, briefly glitched. A tiny, almost imperceptible line of code, a string of complex, seemingly random characters, flickered across the bottom of the screen, then vanished as Mark instinctively swiped it away. It was a fragment. A ghost. A unique algorithmic signature that only Alex, the true architect of that particular logic, would recognize. It was a piece of the Ghost Protocol, a complex, archaic internal diagnostic code Alex had designed years ago for a theoretical universal operating system, a concept far beyond Zenith Solutions' purported capabilities. Mark, completely oblivious to the brief display, quickly corrected the glitch, believing it a minor software hiccup. But Alex's eyes narrowed. He recognized his own forgotten signature, his own genius, embedded in a widely used commercial software that Mark claimed as his own. The realization hit him with the force of a physical blow. Mark didn't just frame him for hacking. He stole his core code, the very foundation of his academic life, and built his successful company upon it. The bitterness of the past, the injustice, resurfaced with a terrifying clarity. From across the ballroom, Mr. Davies, Alex's former computer science teacher, observed the exchange. Mr. Davies was a kind, astute man who had always believed in Alex's genius, a quiet champion of his unconventional mind. He noticed Alex's sudden, intense focus on Mark's phone, the subtle shift in Alex's posture, and a flicker of something profound, not anger, but a deep, dangerous understanding in Alex's eyes. He saw the condescension in Mark's face, the flash of something hidden in Alex's. Mr. Davies, sensing a deeper truth, discreetly approached Alex, a silent offer of support. "Alex," he said, his voice soft, "good to see you. How are you doing tonight? Anything I can do?" Alex offered a tight, almost imperceptible nod. He couldn't reveal the full, horrifying truth to Mr. Davies, not yet. But the stage was set, and Alex knew with a chilling certainty that the true revelation of the night would not be Mark's fabricated success, but the exposed foundation of his deceit. The game of shadows had just begun. The game of shadows. The ballroom pulsed with the illusion of camaraderie, a carefully constructed facade for veiled judgments and simmering rivalries. Mark Thorne, basking in the artificial glow of his self-proclaimed genius, strode to the reunion stage, a dazzling smile fixed on his face. He announced the evening's Friendly Tech Challenge, a live, public hackathon, a coding competition on a new gaming platform developed by Zenith Solutions. "It's a little something we cooked up," he boasted, gesturing to the massive screens that now displayed lines of code and sleek game interfaces. He fully believed this would solidify his reputation as a visionary and further humiliate Alex, whom he publicly challenged. "Come on up, Alex. Let's see if the old ghost protocol still has some life left in it, eh? Or perhaps you're content with your simpler pursuits." His mockery dripped with condescension, a deliberate attempt to bait Alex onto the stage and ensure his public downfall. Alex, clutching his phone, felt the familiar knot of dread in his stomach. He knew with a chilling certainty that this was Mark's trap, designed to expose his failure and crown Mark's fraudulent success. He also knew that Mark's entire genius was built on stolen code, Alex's own ghost protocol. He faced a profound dilemma. Exposing Mark publicly meant revealing his own intellectual property theft, risking a messy, protracted legal battle that could drain his meager resources and, more critically, delay Lily's life-saving cancer treatment. But letting Mark win, allowing him to openly profit from stolen work, would further cement his false legacy and silence Alex's vision for good. The thought of Lily, her tiny, fragile life dependent on him, burned brighter than any fear. He had to participate. The hackathon was set up on the reunion stage, with live screens displaying real-time code execution, amplifying the pressure to an almost unbearable degree. It was a symbolic arena, a brutal replaying of their past conflicts, but this time, the stakes were unimaginably higher. Mark, smug and confident, took his place at a gleaming workstation, surrounded by his own team, ready to demonstrate his superiority. The clock began to tick, a relentless countdown to Lily's fading hope. Her condition, already so precarious, had subtly worsened throughout the evening. Alex's phone, tucked deep in his pocket, vibrated with increasing frequency, displaying discreet medical alerts. Each one a sharp reminder of the desperate personal battle he was fighting. The pressure was immense. He not only had to outcode Mark, but he had to find a way to subtly expose the truth without directly revealing his own original work, thereby proving Mark's theft in a way that wouldn't drag him into an immediate legal quagmire. Unbeknownst to Mark, or indeed anyone else in the ballroom, Ben Carter, Alex's loyal lead developer, was a silent guardian. Having sensed Alex's profound distress earlier and intuitively understanding the silent battle his friend was facing, Ben had discreetly positioned himself near the main network hub of the ballroom. He hadn't known the specifics of Mark's sabotage, but his gut screamed foul play. Now, as the hackathon began, Ben ran silent diagnostics, pushing isolated queries through the system, scrutinizing every line of data being transmitted from Mark's workstation. He subtly monitored any external interference, inadvertently providing crucial, real-time feedback that would inform Alex's on-stage strategy. He was Alex's only ally in this high-stakes game of shadows, a quiet, unseen helper, ready to provide moral support and technical distraction if needed. The stage was set, the audience was primed, and the battle for both a legacy and a life was about to reach its explosive climax. The Architect of Tomorrow. The air in the Innovate Summit auditorium was electric, charged with the palpable tension of a high-stakes duel. On the massive screens flanking the stage, lines of code scrolled with blinding speed, reflecting the real-time progress of the hackathon. Mark Thorne, radiating an almost manic confidence, dominated his workstation, his fingers flying across the keyboard, executing solutions with practiced ease, convinced his pre-prepared code, Alex's stolen ghost protocol, would ensure his victory. Alex, however, moved with a quiet, almost surgical precision. He had long abandoned any attempt to use his original stolen code. Instead, he worked from a place of pure, unadulterated genius. His mind, a blur of brilliant calculations, crafted a new, superior algorithm in real time, showcasing innovative solutions that went far beyond anything Mark could comprehend. His code flowed with an elegance and efficiency that seemed to defy the very constraints of the competition, a testament to his true unburdened talent. The critical moment arrived as Alex's solution finalized. Just as his winning code was projected onto the main screen, a subtle, almost imperceptible flicker occurred. Within the lines of his brilliant new algorithm, Alex had cleverly embedded a hidden diagnostic subroutine. For a fleeting second, it activated, displaying not explicit text, but a complex, unique mathematical pattern, the precise, undeniable signature of the Ghost Protocol's core algorithm, the very fingerprint of Alex's stolen work. This signature, a unique series of nested functions and cryptographic keys, was not obvious to the casual observer, but it was instantly recognizable to any high-level programmer or industry expert. It was Alex's quiet, devastating watermark. Mark Thorne, watching from the stage, saw the signature. His triumphant smirk vanished, replaced by utter, sickening horror. His eyes, fixed on the screen, dilated with a profound, terrifying realization. He recognized his own unique coding fingerprint, the one he believed he had so cleverly stolen and rebranded as Zenith's proprietary software. He realized with chilling clarity that Alex had not only outcoded him with a superior solution, but had just publicly, subtly yet irrefutably, exposed his decades-long intellectual property theft to the entire tech world. He gasped, a strangled sound, his face draining of all color. "No, it's a trick! A bug!" he screamed, attempting to disrupt the display, to tear the wires from the screen, but it was too late. The image lingered for that crucial second, a silent, damning indictment. He was undone. The audience, initially confused by the brief glitch, now murmured with dawning understanding. Whispers erupted. "Did you see that? That signature? It's Thorne's original Ghost Protocol. It was stolen." Mr. Davies, Alex's former computer science teacher, watching intently from the audience, let out a sharp gasp of profound realization, his eyes widening in triumphant vindication. Industry titans and venture capitalists, recognizing the unique coding signature, began to murmur in disbelief, then outright anger, as they realized Zenith Solutions, a company they had invested in, had been built on stolen property. Thunderous applause erupted for Alex, a wave of recognition that swelled from the back of the auditorium. It was not just for his technological brilliance, but for the quiet justice he had just delivered. Mark Thorne, his face a grotesque mask of terror and rage, attempted to flee the stage, stumbling over cables. But he was immediately surrounded by a swarm of bewildered journalists, their microphones thrust forward, demanding answers. Suspicious investors, their faces grim, closed in. Mark was exposed, his empire built on lies crumbling around him in spectacular fashion. The architect of tomorrow, the quiet genius, had just torn down the fraud of yesterday. A new legacy, a future. Undefined. The aftermath of Alex Vance's triumph at the Innovate Summit was nothing short of a cataclysm for Mark Thorne. News of his corporate espionage and his brazen attempt to sabotage his own daughter's groundbreaking AI, fueled by the explosive revelations from the summit, spread like wildfire through the tech industry. Zenith Solutions' stock plummeted, investors panicked, and investigations into Richard's unethical practices, long whispered about in hushed tones, now began in earnest. He faced immediate public backlash, a barrage of lawsuits, and a hostile takeover orchestrated by his own disillusioned board. His once impeccable reputation was utterly destroyed, leaving him to lose his company, his standing in the tech world, and virtually everything he had built on a foundation of deceit. For Alex, the victory was immense, but deeply bittersweet. Viridian Tech secured massive funding almost immediately after the summit, with venture capitalists eager to invest in an AI platform that could not only innovate but also defend against sophisticated cyber threats. Lena was hailed as a visionary, a new kind of tech leader, one who prioritized ethics and social good. Her work became a beacon, a counter-narrative to the prevailing profit-at-all-costs mentality of Silicon Valley. One quiet afternoon, a few days after the summit, Alex sat with Ben Carter, his loyal lead developer, in the still-cluttered garage that had been Viridian Tech's birthplace. The air was filled with a new sense of hope, but also a lingering tension. "Ben," Alex began, his voice low, "there's something you need to know. The malware, the code signature. It was my father's." Ben froze, his face a mask of disbelief. "Richard Sterling? Your father? But how?" Alex recounted the story of his estranged father, his abandonment, his pioneering but ethically ambiguous work in early AI, and her gut-wrenching realization at the summit. He explained how his specific coding style, his signature, had been the key to her discovery. Ben listened, horrified but utterly supportive. "I had my suspicions," he admitted quietly. "The sophistication of the attack, it didn't fit any known group, but your own father, that's unthinkable." He paused, then met her gaze with unwavering loyalty. "It doesn't change anything, Lena. You still built something incredible, something good. He tried to destroy it, but you saved it. And us." Weeks later, a letter arrived at Alex's new, sleek office in Viridian Tech's temporary headquarters. It was from Richard Sterling. He had attempted to contact her multiple times, begging for forgiveness, for a chance to explain, for a reunion. Alex had ignored his calls, her resolve hardened by years of neglect and his recent brutal betrayal. This letter was his last, desperate attempt. She read it, her face impassive. It was filled with apologies, excuses, and thinly veiled attempts to reclaim a connection he had long severed. He spoke of remorse, of recognizing his mistakes, of the painful truth that his ambition had blinded him. But for Alex, his words rang hollow. His actions had spoken volumes. She placed the letter carefully on her desk, then picked up a framed photograph of her mother, vibrant and smiling, a woman who had quietly raised Lena with strength and integrity. Alex looked at the photo, then at her own reflection in the glass of her office window, her eyes clear and firm. She acknowledged their shared lineage, the undeniable link of blood and genius, but she drew a clear boundary. Richard Sterling had chosen his path, one of greed and deceit, abandoning her and destroying his own legacy. She would not allow him to poison her new beginning. She would ensure he faced the full consequences of his actions, not out of vengeance, but out of justice. Her focus now was on her children, if she had any in the future, her vision for them clear, and her ethical vision for Viridian Tech. The legacy she was building would be one of light, not shadow. The city skyline had undergone a profound transformation, now dotted with sleek, environmentally conscious structures that spoke of innovation and integrity. These were the hallmarks of Alex Vance's visionary designs. At 38, Alex was a revered figure in ethical technology, a pioneer whose open-source innovations had revolutionized diverse industries, from healthcare logistics to environmental monitoring and sustainable urban planning. Viridian Tech, under his unwavering leadership, had blossomed into a global leader, renowned not just for its groundbreaking solutions, but for its uncompromising commitment to social good. Its campuses, a network of collaborative green spaces, buzzed with engineers and developers who shared Alex's core values, their work driven by purpose, not just profit. His beloved sister, Lily, now a healthy, thriving 20-year-old, was a vibrant testament to Alex's sacrifice and genius. She was pursuing a degree in biomedical engineering, passionate about applying technology to healthcare, inspired by her own battle with cancer. Her life, once hanging by a thread, was now a powerful embodiment of hope and resilience. Alex's unwavering commitment to paying it forward was etched into the very fabric of his legacy. He established the Ghost Protocol Foundation, a non-profit organization that became a global beacon for brilliant, underprivileged young coders, particularly those from marginalized backgrounds. The foundation provided full scholarships, mentorship, and access to state-of-the-art resources, ensuring no talent was ever wasted or exploited by the kind of systemic injustice Alex himself had faced. He poured vast resources into funding cutting-edge research into ethical AI and open-source solutions for global challenges, actively working to build a technological future that served humanity. He often returned to his old high school, speaking at graduations, emphasizing the paramount importance of integrity, the transformative power of perseverance, and the profound, often unseen impact of one's quiet genius. The story ends on a quiet evening. Alex stood in his minimalist, sunlit office at the heart of Viridian Tech's innovative campus. He looked at a framed, faded blueprint of the unusual circuit board from his grandmother's locket, now accompanied by a glowing, intricate hologram of the complex Ghost Protocol algorithm he had perfected. The algorithm, a symphony of code, pulsed with a subtle green light, a testament to its ethical design. He smiled faintly, a subtle, almost imperceptible nod to the past, knowing he had built a legacy not on fleeting fame or inherited wealth, but on genuine impact and the unwavering, unseen power of his own extraordinary genius. If this story stirred your heart, if it reminds you that courage can alter destinies and that light always finds a path even in the deepest darkness, please leave a comment. Share this story with those who need inspiration. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to never miss our upcoming stories.